As he said, I played basketball, volleyball, and did swim throughout my years from elementary to high school, but volleyball was my main sport, and it had the biggest impact on my life. I was a 4-year varsity volleyball player, and senior year I was team captain on an underclassmen heavy team. Each year came with a new role that I was asked to play on the team, and each new role taught me a new lesson. My coaches put a lot of emphasis on sportsmanship and demonstrating Christ-likeness through our play, and they also put a lot of emphasis on using volleyball to serve others. Through coaching young athletes in our program and participating in a lot of group service opportunities, I've had the opportunity to serve alongside my teammates and develop compassion and leadership skills that I believe are extremely valuable. Volleyball has taught me the value of dedication, hard work, and time management, and all of these qualities are contributing to my success in college. Being a student athlete at Dayton Christian has been one of the most challenging yet rewarding experiences of my life. I have found the best of friends in my teammates, overcome performance anxiety and other adversities, learned how to persevere in difficult times, and developed valuable teamwork skills. Throughout my journey of Dayton Christian High School athletics, Dayton Christian gave me an excellent support system. My teammates and coaches, administration and teachers, and the Booster Club all helped contribute to the success in my journey and the success in the journey of every high school athlete at Dayton Christian. I am extremely thankful to be a recipient of the Booster Scholarship. Any of you who have kids in college or who have recently been in college know that college comes with a lot of expenses. I go to Xavier and they love to hit you with surprise class fees and surprise book fees and surprise orientation fees right as you're getting ready to pay your bill. And that makes your bill a lot higher than you initially expect. The Booster Scholarship gave me extra funds to cover all of these things, which allowed me to focus on preparing for the next stage in my life. Receiving this scholarship was an opportunity that I am so thankful for because it had a really big impact on easing my transition from high school to college. The Booster Scholarship is a great example of just one of the many ways that the Booster Club's hard work and generosity has positively impacted the lives of every athlete that goes through Dayton Christian's programs. The Booster Club does so much for the programs at DC. They help provide things we need, like equipment and jerseys, and they help our athletic programs fundraise for things they need and want to create successful programs. I have seen firsthand how much the Booster Club does behind the scenes for this school and for these athletes. If you know someone who's a Booster Club board member, or really anyone who's a part of Dayton Christian Athletics, make sure that you thank them for the hard work that they put into the lives of all of the Dayton Christian athletes. Inside your program is a QR code where you can contribute to the Booster Scholarship Fund and help defray the cost of this event today. If you feel led to donate, know that your donation will help the Booster Club continue to do the important work that they do for Dayton Christian Athletics. Thank you.
Thank you, Livia, for sharing what DC Athletics and the Boosters have done for you. My name is Kelly Collins. I am the current Dayton Christian Athletic Booster President. I currently have 2 alumni that were actively involved in sports here at Dayton Christian and went on to play at the collegiate level. And I have a sophomore who plays golf, soccer, and basketball here at DC currently. So I understand the impact that DC Athletics can have on kids' lives. The primary function of the Athletic Boosters is, as you just heard, to promote and enhance the athletic experience by funding equipment, uniforms, travel expenses, camps, facility improvements that may not be covered by the school's budget. We accomplish these things through concessions, booster memberships, spirit store sales, direct donations, and fundraising events like our annual golf outing. Last year, our volunteer efforts brought in over $120,000 allocated to athletics through these efforts. In the past 5 years, we've donated $20,000 to the Warrior Center sound system, $30,000 building our primary concession stand in the school, while also purchasing all the equipment that went into that concession stand, and we also play football still off-site, and we play soccer off-site. So we've upgraded and purchased things to go into those concession stands. Other enhancements the boosters have contributed to is by providing senior banners. So each senior that comes in and out of DC gets a banner for their sport, and it's recognized and hung at the sport that they're playing. We also provide an athletic program, which I like to call the athletic yearbook. It's just the sports season and all the recognition that goes into the team and the individual athletes. And lastly, we fund the athletic scholarships. Since 2015, the boosters have provided $41,000 in scholarships to graduating seniors, annually sponsoring 4 $1,000 scholarships, and additionally funding the $500 Rebecca Winslow Scholarship, which honors the memory of Rebecca Winslow, in which the sport she played and was an athlete here at Dayton Christian. Our goal would be always to add additional money so we can continue to provide these opportunities and experiences for our student athletes. And Liv explained already how to see the QR code in the program, so I won't go over that again. I know for me personally, it's an immense blessing and a joy to be a part of the boosters and contribute to the overall experience of student athletes. Thanks for being here today. Congratulations.
Thank you, Kelly, and thanks to the boosters for all that they do for our student athletes and coaches and the athletic department as a whole. And thank you, Olivia. That was fantastic. Nice job, Liv. We're going to keep rolling here. Once again, I want to welcome you to the 2023 Athletic Hall of Fame induction ceremony. It's fitting that we're having this ceremony today in our beautifully renovated Student Life Center. It's a true testament to God's faithfulness and provision to his people. Let's not forget God's provision for us in making the dream of facilities like this and our new gymnasium, the Warrior Center, a reality. We'd like to start off by sharing the mission statement of our DC Athletic Hall of Fame Committee. The mission and purpose of the Dayton Christian Athletic Hall of Fame is to honor, preserve, and perpetuate the names, deeds, and records of those athletes, teams, coaches, and contributors who, by achievement or service, have brought lasting impact and honor to themselves, their school, and to the cause of Christ throughout their outstanding accomplishments. The Hall of Fame Committee consists of 8 people, alumni, coaches, local people, and I want to take a minute to introduce them. When I introduce you, if you would stand up, and so we can recognize you, well, let's hold our applause till the end. First is Lauren Miyamasu, Dayton Christian class of 1996, current DC Girls Assistant Soccer Coach and Booster Board member. Scott Alexander, DC alumni parent and former DC's Assistant Soccer Coach. Jeff Thompson, Dayton Christian class of 1989, DC parent and volunteer. Eric Halter, DC Assistant Baseball Coach and DC parent. Kelly Collins, DC Athletic Boosters President and Dayton Christian parent. Ben Schroyer, who's our outstanding athletic director. Angie Dabble, DC parent and current DC volleyball coach. And Steve Skolik, Dayton Christian class of 1988, DC Athletic Boosters Vice President, current Hall of Fame Chairman, and DC alumni parent. Let's recognize them for the all of the committee has asked Dayton Christian Board of Directors President, Mr. Chris Brown, to say a few words here this afternoon. Chris is going to pray for the event tonight and then give a short report outlining the school's commitment to its athletic programs today and going forward. Mr. Brown?
All right, let's pray. Father, we thank you for this time to honor folks who played a sport as an individual member, as a team, for your glory. We thank you for the honor they brought to you and to the school. We pray for a profitable time. Thank you that we can take this time to honor them. Thank you for this season, Lord, where we get to celebrate your birth. These things we give in your name. Amen. Good afternoon and congratulations. Tucked in the middle of the Gospel of Mark, more specifically chapter 7, is this awesome story where Jesus heals an individual who's born both deaf and who stutters. And it's the only time this story shows up in any of the Gospels. And Jesus takes this individual away from the crowd, takes him outside of Galilee, actually, to Decapolis, and he heals him. And when he heals them, they come back and they meet this crowd, right? They meet everybody who's been following Jesus. And tucked at the end of chapter 7 in the Gospel of Mark is this one verse. And it says, after the crowd had seen this, they concluded that Jesus has done everything well. Right? That's it. He has done everything well. Well, that is the goal of the Dayton Christian Board, because we are modeling Jesus. Right? So in our attempts to do everything well, we have boiled down our focus to 3 main items. Number 1, we want Christ-centered focus in what we teach, what our culture looks like, and what our community looks like, right? And to that end, we have a director of spiritual life. We're forming a spiritual life committee on our board. Secondarily, it's academic excellence. That also is athletics. It's also fine arts. And let me just give you a brief highlight of what we have done this fall already. Liv talked about volleyball. Girls volleyball, 4-time conference champs. Did it again. Girls soccer, conference runner-up. Football, made the playoffs for the 4th time in history. Boys soccer, undefeated in conference champs. Girls cross country, conference champs. Boys cross country, finished 3rd in conference, earned district runner-up trophy. Boys golf, conference runner-up. And then the sideline cheering team just earned a state championship runner-up trophy. Right? So we are well on our way when it comes to excellence. And our third mission, Christ-centered focus, academic excellence, and third is to incentivize and reward our teachers. Because guess what? They spend more time some days with your kids and Dayton Christian kids than we do. And over the last 3 years, we've been able to bump salaries up anywhere between 20 to 40%, so we're within a very comparable range to public schools. We can now look at and say we're doing 403B matching to a certain extent. You'll hear from him later today, but our new head of school is also working on better tuition reimbursement for our folks, so that's another focus item. So we've talked about the current, right? You're part of the past, but let's talk about the future. We had our first interested prospective student meeting in November. Last November of 2022, we had our largest ever, and it was 22 students came. Well, this November, we had 58 students and 140 people total, right? And if I asked you, what do you think enrollment at Dayton Christian was in 2020? It was 696. What do you think enrollment is this year? 1,081, right? We have grown 60% over 4 years. And so God is being faithful, and we intend to be faithful to Him. Now, we know that when we do these things, we're going to face some opposition. And we'll be ready, and it'll be hard, but we aren't going to veer from the path. Right? Excellence means you stick to what works. So, as a kid, I grew up on the west side of Chicago, and my favorite sports team was the Chicago Cubs. And believe it or not, they were atrocious, yet it was still hard to get tickets. Now, the White Sox, they gave away tickets to anybody who even got close to honorable. That's a Chicago joke, I'm sorry. If you like the Cubs, you hate the Sox. But nevertheless, I remember as a 12-year-old going to the Wrigley Field for the first time and seeing what they call the friendly confines. It's configured differently. You walk up to it, everybody knows where it is. It's in the middle of a neighborhood. You can smell the grass. Players are close. It's loud. Well, this spring, I got to go back 30-some years later, and they actually let me in the clubhouse. And you know what? I had the same awe and wonder that I did 30 years ago. Right? That's what sports do to us. That's what life experience is. And in this season of wonder, let me challenge you. First of all, I'm in awe of your accomplishments. Well done. Number two, I'm in awe of what God has done for DC. Right? And number three, I want to retain that childlike awe for the fact that He sent His Son, Jesus Christ, to die for us. We have big plans here, right? We just finished this Student Life Center. We finished the gym. We have dreams of moving Ron P. and turning it into a football and track stadium right outside of here. We'd like to have an auxiliary gym. We'd like to have a fine arts center. Right? As a matter of fact, we have the capabilities to house about 1,400 to 1,500 students here. Right? We're at 1081. If we keep growing, we're going to get tight real fast. And if you drove in, you know our parking lot is an issue. Well, as a board, we don't believe you can make a capital campaign for a parking lot. It just doesn't sell. But if any of you want to donate, we'll take it. So we're going to have to reroute traffic. All those things are in our plan. And we're praying to say, okay, Lord, continue to provide the funds, continue to provide the people. But we are really, really excited for what He's done and what He'll continue to do. So thank you.
Thanks, Chris. At this time, I would now like to introduce our keynote speaker for the day. It's Mr. Matt Baker. Matt joined Dayton Christian as our head of school in 2023 after a 7 years tenure as superintendent of Clinton Massey Local Schools. In addition to his role as superintendent, he has more than 20 years of experience in public education as a teacher, assistant principal, dean of students, and coach. He received his Bachelor's of Arts in Secondary Social Studies from Thomas More University and a master's degree in Educational Administration from Xavier University. And nowadays, he stays connected to sports by broadcasting football and basketball at both the collegiate and high school levels. Once again this January, he will be the lead broadcaster for the nationally renowned Flying to the Hoop basketball tournament in Kettering. Let's give Mr. Baker a warm welcome as he brings our keynote address.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I will definitely keep it brief. Anytime you give a preacher the mic, you're taking your life into your own hands. I've got 50 minutes prepared, but I'll kind of bring it down to 10. How's that sound? Yeah, exactly. So, it's just an honor to be up here. I want to share a couple thoughts with you, but when I was asked, I thought to myself, well, that's great. I would love to speak on behalf of Dayton Christian and the school itself to the Hall of Fame inductees, and I let my mind wander just a little bit. What would I talk about in those kind of situations? It's obviously accomplishments have already been noted both on paper, and we'll be here in just a second through the speeches. I know that you're not here to see me. I totally understand that. I wouldn't expect you to want to hear too much from me. But I started going into my mind, what does it take to have a Hall of Fame career? Or what does it take to have a Hall of Fame experience? And many things came to my mind. Many factors are involved in that. But one that stood out to me that I reference back to the Bible is consistency. I think it takes consistency to have a Hall of Fame career. And when I started looking in the Bible, there's so many examples I could have used, but through prayer and kind of understanding of the audience, I thought to myself, let's talk about Daniel for just a second. So if you're in Daniel and you go to chapter 6, it was shared that Daniel was very consistent in his worship. Daniel was very consistent in his prayer, and he was very consistent in his desire to see the kingdom grow. In fact, in chapter 6, it says, the other administrators and high officers became searching for some fault in the way Daniel was handling government affairs, but they couldn't find anything to criticize or condemn him. He was faithful, always responsible, and completely trustworthy. So when I think about these athletes that we're honoring here today, some of those same attributes align with what they did to get them to the tables that they're sitting at right now. There was trustworthiness, there was consistency, there was always being responsible, and there was faithfulness not only to their team, to their coach, to their school, but first and foremost to God. And as Daniel got tempted and tried, they put laws in effect. Most people here know the story that would stop Daniel from being able to pray. He would have to break his consistency. And he decided to not go with what the people wanted, but what he knew what was the right thing. Sometimes we get the offering to go outside of what the expectations are. As an athlete, I was a football player, I was a basketball guy. I was much better at football than basketball. Basketball, I was more the goon squad. I was the guy that just went in and beat people up. But I knew my role at least. And then I got to the point where I recognized that sometimes other teammates didn't want to put in the effort that I felt it was necessary in each and every practice. I had the opportunity to break consistency. And there are many times I'm sure I did that, other times I was successful. Daniel had that opportunity, and he decided later in that chapter that it says, but when Daniel learned that the law had been signed, he went home, knelt down as usual. Well, those are two strong words right there. As usual. Sometimes life can throw a lot at us. Sometimes we can be tempted and tried. But if we say consistency to the Lord, consistency in our practices to get closer to Christ, if we are as usual in those things, then the successes like inductions into the Hall of Fame are nothing for God. Those are easy. Those are easy wins for him. As usual, in his upstairs room, which its windows open towards Jerusalem, he prayed 3 times a day, just as he had always done, giving thanks to his God. Just as he's always done. So I know there's a lot of young people in the audience still that are here with their dads and moms and brothers and sisters. I would give you that same advice. You go into every practice, you go into every game, you go into every event, and you do that consistent, best effort and give the best you can for God, then a Hall of Fame career, whether recognized or not, is something you will realize. Have a great rest of this activity. We wish you nothing but luck, and we appreciate you being a part of Dayton Christian. Thank you very much.
Okay, so it's a little bit out of order, but we're going to take the 10-minute break right now. I didn't want to do it.
Our daughter, Miss Ryan Cosby, was just like any other girl, growing up, playing with dolls, riding bikes, getting into whatever she could get into. But until she started noticing the heavy weights that her brother would be working out on, she took it very seriously when she recognized that she too could lift heavy weights like her brother. From then on, she would live with him, not realizing this would start her on a new direction of doing bigger things in her life. As she attended Dayton Christian, she took up track and field, in which she started throwing the shot put and throwing the discus. She believes through faith, hard work, and determination that she could go farther, and she did. With the encouragement from her father and coaches, she improved more and more. And not to overlook the support she got from her many friends that she made and who told her to try harder. It led her later to lifting heavy weights from 400 pounds to doing the shot put 42.61 and a half inches and discus 112 feet. At this meeting that she attended, she would always greet her competitors with a smile and wish them good luck, gathering more friends along the way. Soon she became known as the Bomb, which they named her. We are so proud of her. Now our daughter has earned a place here on the Hall of Dayton Christian's Hall of Fame to be seen and recognized by others. But best of all, she has left her legacy to her family that will always be remembered and loved through the years. Now again, I want to thank Dayton Christian High School with the utmost respect and honor that you have shown toward my daughter. And I want to thank my family and friends for coming out to support her. I ask God to watch over everyone, see you safely back home, and to the other athletes that are going to be honored today, I want to say congratulations. God is good.
Hello, my name is Ryan Cosby. First of all, before I say anything, I want to thank the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for making all this possible for me. Now I want to thank Dayton Christian Athletic Staffing for selecting me for the 2023 Hall of Fame. I want to thank my mom and dad for being there for me when I was there at the track. I just want to thank them so much for that. Thanks, Mom. I still remember the days when I went on the track and field, and I always would ask God, please, Lord, be there for me, help me, support me, because some days I would have my bad, some days I would have good, but I toughed it up and stood out the way and just let Him take care of it. I had no idea that I brought so many records it was just unbelievable. I kept hearing all the time, you breaking this, you breaking that. I'm like, yeah, right, whatever. But I was. I love going to shop, putting discs. If I could turn back the pages, I would do it all again because I love doing that. Hopefully one day my daughter Layla will be able to do the same thing with me because she likes to do the track. She's strong just like me too. Down the road, I would love to be the assistant coach at Dayton Christian to help the girls shop put a disc. I want to be able to inspire them the best way they could be through the faith, hard work, and determination. There's another coach that helped me too. He's not here no more, but Jason Scott's dad. He was a great coach with me too. I really appreciate it. I remember when he bought me my first shot put, and I was like, what is this thing? It's heavy as heck, but I was able to do it. But I want to thank you, Jason, with your dad. I really appreciate it because I miss him. Once again, I want to thank everybody for coming out here, family and friends, and supporting me. I love you all, and may God bless you.
Congratulations, Ryan, on your induction to the 2023 DC Athletic Hall of Fame. Our next athlete to be inducted from the class of 2012 is Christian Alexander. Christian was a 4-year letter winner and 2-time captain for the Warriors soccer team. He earned first team all-conference designation 3 times, Metro Buckeye Conference Player of the Year, first team All-Area and first team All-District 2 times, and in 2011 was named first team All-State. Alexander amassed 62 goals and 51 assists over his career. He was a key player in the 2010 state-ranked team and the 2011 regional finalist team, which ranked 4th in the state's final poll. In addition to his accomplishments on the soccer field, Alexander also qualified for districts and regionals for the Warriors track team, competing on the 4x100 and 4x200 relays. Alexander went on to play soccer for Cedarville University, where he was a strong contributor, helping his team transition from NAIA to NCAA Division II designation. Christian will be introduced by his father, Mr. Scott Alexander.
It's almost impossible to follow your mother, Ryan. I mean, my goodness, you killed up here today. It was fantastic. We've been around Dayton Christian for a long time. We've had a lot of children go through the programs, and I truly understand and appreciate the humbling opportunity that this is, for my son, and the amazing blessings that he has received through this school and us as a family. And so, I mean, you look at them, you look at the families that they have, the direction that they're going in their lives. A lot of that is instilled, by this family, this community. Because, quite frankly, that is what Dayton Christian really strives to be, is a community that's raising up and supporting our children. So I'm very thankful to hear that. I had a unique opportunity with Christian, not just to be his father, but I kind of got an opportunity to be his coach. And I can probably say from time to time that could be a little difficult. But I remember when this whole journey started, we were driving down actually to sign up for him to play football. And we got a call from a coach that said, I'd really like Christian to play select soccer. And looked at him and I said, what do you want to do? And he goes, well, Dad, you played football. And I said, this isn't about me, this is about you. I go, what do you want to do? And he goes, I want to play soccer. Well, now many years later, I would say he made the right choice in sport. Dayton Christian really had provided numerous, I'll call them for the most part, epic battles between Alter and Carroll and Summit Country Day and Bishop Fenwick, in which there were just phenomenal clashes of teams. And the one word that really kind of stood out with Christian and watching him play was just relentless. He could take over a game, and he could work through that process very well. All of that was kind of accumulated when they played Springfield Central Catholic in the district finals, in which the two best of the best were coming together, and they rose to the occasion. And the picture that's on his plaque is very fitting to express the emotions of that game and what it meant to him. But as a father, to see the man that he is becoming, to see where he's taking his family, their direction with God and their spiritual life, is quite honestly the greatest gift that I could ever hope for him. And even though the records that they read off, he's still number 4 all-time record keeper in the soccer program for Dayton Christian. So he's done those things, but quite frankly, I want to thank each and every one of you for also helping move him down that path of life and what he's achieved. So with that, as a father, it was a great amount of fun to watch you play. I thoroughly enjoyed listening to other coaches tell me how much they hated playing against you, which was always fun. But in closing, this was a very appropriate day because today is my father's birthday. And we lost him a few years ago. But there would be no prouder moment than he would be having right now if he was sitting next to Grandma watching you get this award. So, son, congratulations.
You'll notice that I'm going to be battling through a little congestion and sickness now, so bear with me. I'll get through this as best I can. All right. Hello, everybody. I just wanted to start off by saying thank you to everybody who came out today to support my fellow inductees and myself. It means a lot to us. Thank you to the Dayton Christian Athletic Boosters and the voting committee for awarding me this recognition. I'm humbled and very much honored to be remembered amongst such great athletes here at Dayton Christian. First and foremost, I would like to thank God for the gifts and the abilities that He's given me in this life to play this game. The game of soccer has been the greatest love since I was 6 years old. It has brought me some of the greatest blessings in my life. I've been able to travel the world. I've made lifelong friends. I've learned discipline, determination, and other attributes that help me excel in everyday life. It's opened the path to meeting my wife and creating this family that I have today, so it's extremely important. It was an extremely important part of my life up until a couple of years ago, really. I would like to thank all my coaches here at Dayton Christian: Steve Vaughn, Jim Fisco, James Holliday, Andrew Bellman, and of course, my own dad. Each and every one of those guys shaped me into the player I am, so thank you for trusting in me, even at the age of 14 years old when I was a freshman, working tirelessly on me, not only as a player, but as a young man. I could give you a life lesson I learned from all those coaches that I still take with me today. Without your knowledge, love for the game, and dedication to me, I would absolutely not be here. I want to say thank you to the players who surrounded me in my time at Dayton Christian. I was nothing without my teammates, and this award is just as much theirs as it is mine. From 15 to 18 years old, I was surrounded by older, stronger, faster players that pushed me to get better and better every day and challenged me to be even more than I ever thought I could. I was a product of my environment, and my daily environment was training hard with talented players, and that ultimately forced me to grow as a player. So thank you to my fellow Dayton Christian soccer players who challenged me to be the best I could. I want to say thank you to my family. Thank you to my mom and my dad who unconditionally sacrificed their time, money, freedom, and comfort for me to pursue my dream through this sport. Mom, I always joke with you about how you struggled to understand the rules of this game early on, yelling random generic soccer buzzwords out at the field. But it always meant a lot to me that you would try and learn the game and invest in my success on the field. Unfortunately for you, my favorite part of your investments was when you decided to pay me for every goal and assist I had my senior year. My senior year was my best year on the field, but we started off 0-2, and clearly my mom was concerned and decided to bribe me with money to score. And I had 31 goals and 21 assists that year, so thank you for your financial investments in me. Joking aside, you've always allowed this game to turn your world upside down, and you've supported not just me, but 6 crazy kids through sports schedules and other various activities, and your unconditional love and support for each of us, and each and every one of us. Thank you for always being there and supporting me through all that I did. Dad, thank you for everything that you've done for me as a man and as a player. Prior to me starting soccer as a child, as he's alluded to, my dad had 0 soccer knowledge, or I would probably say interest, really, either. He was a national champion college football player. So I was shocked when he advised me to start playing soccer. However, once I started playing, my dad decided he was going to make sure I played it the right way. He learned as much as he could, and he developed me into the best player that I could be. He found me the best clubs to play for. We made sure I was at all the practices and taking advantage of all the opportunities to get better. He gave me hard criticism when I needed it, and unconditional belief and confidence, which gave me the drive and determination that would take me all the way onto this stage today. Thank you for all the early mornings, traveling around the country, late night flights to make it back just to catch a game, wisdom and patience to keep me level-headed and focused, and for coaching me up to be the best athlete and man that I can be. My success on and off the field is because of your example. To my siblings, Charlotte, Josh, Noah, Luke, and Grace, thank you for always supporting me and giving me motivation to be better. It was always a blessing to have gotten to compete. It was always a blessing to have gotten to compete with and against my younger brother Josh in high school and in college. No one tells you how important it is to have someone so close in age to you help push you on and off the field. It is also a blessing to have gotten to help coach my youngest brothers Noah and Luke when they were here at Dayton Christian playing soccer. I got to watch Noah become a high school All-American. I got to watch Luke dominate every sport that DC had to offer. And together they pushed barriers and school records that their older brothers couldn't in our time. Watching both of them play in the state final game at the Crew Stadium is something that I'll always remember. My brothers are the main reason I had to give my best efforts so that they could do even more when it was their time. I'm proud of you guys for all of your accomplishments on and off the field. To my sisters, Grace and Charlotte, thank you guys for keeping me level-headed and always reminding me that at the end of the day, this is just a game, and to always look at the bigger picture of life. Lastly, as my father alluded to, I'd like to dedicate my recognition of this award today to my grandfather, who passed away in 2019. Today, like my father said, today is his birthday, ironically, and he would have loved nothing more to have been here, as he was my biggest fan. Like my grandpa, this award is a reminder to be the best that you can be and always push yourself to your limits on and off the field. One of the greatest lessons in life that he's given me was that anything worthwhile in this life is on the other side of something difficult. This is something that he taught my dad, who continues to remind me and my siblings often, and this is all possible because of his example, and I will continue to teach this to my kids and my family as we move forward. Thank you.
Congratulations, Christian Alexander, on your induction to the 2023 DC Athletic Hall of Fame. Next up for induction is the 1996 boys track and field team. This group became the second team in school history to win a state title in track and field. Co-coached by Gordon Carlson and 2019 DC Hall of Famer Steve Carnum, the Crusaders scored 44 points, defeating local rival Alter by 6 points. The team's Division II state championship was headlined by the outstanding performance by 2019 DC Hall of Famer Lamar Hill, who was a state champion in both the 110 high hurdles and long jump, and placed second in both 100 and 200 meter dashes. Dayton Christian's 4x400 relay team of Ryan Payne, John Richardson, Dave Dingman, and Chris Palookas placed third in the state, and Chris Palookas finished fifth in the state in the 800 meters. I'm going to read off the members of this team. The members of the 1996 boys track and field team include Daniel Allnut, Brian Bowersox, Bobby Boyer, David Carlson, Jason Cottingham, Steve Couture, Dave Dingman, Jason Fleener, Eric Hill, Lamar Hill, Jeremy Huffman, Chris Kapsack, Shane Kretz, Josh Marks, Jason Morgan, Brandon Nutter, Josh Patterson, Nathan Patterson, Ryan Payne, Chris Palookas, John Richardson, Matt Roberts, Wes Russell, and Dean Valley. The team and Coach Carnum will be introduced today by co-coach Mr. Gordon Carlson.
In 1996, God orchestrated the perfect storm for the boys track team. Seasoned athletes who wanted to be victorious and hungry for competition, and 2 experienced coaches to support their goals was a recipe for success. God was transitioning me out of coaching after 4 years, and Steve Carnum back into it. God's blessing to this team was apparent to anyone following them. Even the girls' team had a storm going of their own. They had champions as well. Every meet was exciting that year. A powerful year for DC and track. It wasn't hard to believe the power of God in that season. It was a team I remember fondly and was honored to be part of it. It was a great team. The difference between good and great is attitude. God blessed them with the talent, but it was the attitude that made the difference. The headliner for the team is their state championship, and that certainly is a crowning achievement in any sport, but they did it, as I remember, with an undefeated season, while breaking and setting many records as well, some of which stand after 27 years. 27 years. Wow, goes quickly. Their success is bracketed by the fact that they didn't have the all-weather track that they do now, but it was a weedy, crushed limestone track. Wasn't good for sprint practice or speed handoffs. Sprinters worked out on the paved road from the South School to the track, and sprinters worked also out on the South School parking lot. Distance runners, as I remember, ran in the neighborhood. They overcome the shortcomings with determination and improved as the season went along and developed relationships that strengthened the team and still exist today. They overcome, and for that I'm proud of them. They were just a wonderful team. So there's a few guys here, and I'm honored to present this to Steve and the guys.
Thanks, Gordon. I remember 1996. I haven't started losing that edge yet. I can still remember that far back. Oh, I will correct, and it was my fault, I think, more than anybody else, because I didn't catch it before. 96 team was actually the 3rd state championship that Dayton Christian had claimed, because the 82 track team did. They were already inducted. And then the 84, which would have been graduating class of 85, cross-country team won the state championship. We don't want to forget that. So anyway, they were the 3rd. 96 is a sweet spot in time, as I remember it. In fact, Jason Scott and I have talked a lot. Phil Scott, my dear friend who passed away a few years ago, we always talked about, we had kids that were better than even we knew as coaches. I mean, certainly they were better than they thought they were. They didn't have a point of reference. They were better than anything, you know. As a team, they had more talent than I could have ever imagined. They ran in the Division II side also. That's noteworthy because Division II is much bigger schools than Division III. I also recall that I think we were undefeated, although I don't remember. We won West Carrollton relays. Oh, Versailles Invitational, very first meet of the year. I called to ask them, hey, I haven't gotten any information from you. They said, well, we don't have you coming. And I said, oh, we've got it on the calendar. We don't want to miss that. And he said, well, you're going to have to run in the big school division. I'm like, yeah, we'll run the big school division. We won it. So that kind of took care of business. We won West Carrollton Relay, Cedarville Invitational. We also went down to Kentucky to my college alma mater and ran at the Cumberland College Fellowship of Christian Athletes meet, and we won it with, I believe it only took 13 kids down there, so did a pretty good job. We won Eaton Invitational. We were district champions, regional champions, and as you know, we were state champions. You know, I still coach, and one of the reasons I did then and do now is because, and I love watching kids compete and do well, but I've told people before, I don't do it still just because I have some fixation on kids running in circles or throwing strange implements or jumping over things that are dangerous. I do it because I think athletics in general promotes character, opportunities to grow in your character and opportunities to show your character. And I think I wouldn't be involved and I wouldn't believe as much in sports as I do if it wasn't for that idea. You're going to hear more later on, but there are people here that I believe are now quite successful in what they do because they learned something from the athletic experience that they had while at Dayton Christian. So anyway, we set 8 school records that year, many of which all still stand. Lamar Hill was inducted in the first class here of the Hall of Fame. He won 2 state titles, high hurdles and long jump. And his high hurdle time still stands as a Division II state record, 13.77. He went on to run 13.42 in the national meet. He was national champion in the high hurdles, national champion in the long jump. It's nice to have a guy like that on your team. And then, on top of that, at the state meet, it took a state record in both the 100 and the 200 that Bobby Cruz set. Took a state record in both of those to beat Lamar. Lamar got beat by 2 100s in the 100, and I think 3 or 4 100s in the 200. Now, you might say, well, that's a one-man team. Nope, we'd have been and also ran if all it was Lamar scoring points. But we had the wherewithal to score some others. I love telling stories. I'll never forget. We're probably in a 3-way kind of tie battle with Alder and with Buckeye Valley. We get to the 800. Chris Lucas, I think, got 4th at the regional, and he really rose to the occasion. He just ran out of his mind. He got 5th at the state meet. Those are points we really weren't counting on. But then we realized, gee, it's a tie ball game. Not ball game, track meet. Figure of speech. It's tied up going into the last event of the meet, 4x4. And guess who we have to run against? Alder. And have we beaten Alder that year? Not once. Our 4x4 always finished slightly behind them. But that day, they got 8th and we got 3rd. And that's even after John Richardson and Dave Damon over here did some little dance of some kind, trying to hand the baton off the first time. I about had a heart attack. And we went on to beat everybody that beat us at the regionals, and especially we beat Alder. So, and I don't think that win is necessarily the big issue. I think the big issue is the relationships, opportunities to live out in sports, what they're going to live out in life. And I think there's a bunch of guys could value that. I'd like to introduce the ones that are here. Anybody from the 96 team, if you'd come up, that'd be great. Several of them live out of state, quite a ways away, Colorado and California and some other places. Glad to have these guys, okay? Dave Carlson, John Richardson, Dave Dingman. They're all great guys. I interact with them every once in a while. John told me he's been following me on Facebook. I don't know what that means, but I guess that's whatever. I still coach, so he's following that. These are the guys that you're honoring, and Gordon and I just didn't have it within us not to say something because we're so proud of these guys. And I'm proud of who they are today as well.
Congratulations, Coach, and to the entire 1996 boys track team. Our next athlete to be inducted is Jason Scott. Jason, from the class of 2003, was a 4-year letter winner and captain for the Dayton Christian men's track and field team. As a sophomore, he placed 3rd in the district in pole vault. As a junior, he was named All-Ohio after placing 4th in the pole vault at the state meet. And as a senior, Scott earned all state honors by placing 3rd in the state in the 110-meter high hurdles and took home a state championship in the pole vault with a school record vault of 15 feet 2 inches. To this day, he is Dayton Christian's only pole vaulting state champion. In college, Scott was a 3-time NAIA national champion, 7-time NAIA All-American, 5-time NCCAA national champion, and 14-time NCCAA All-American at Cedarville University. He was named Cedarville's Athlete of the Year 3 times and was inducted into Cedarville University's Athletic Hall of Fame in 2021. After retiring from athletic competition, Scott went on to coach at the collegiate and individual level. Jason will be introduced to you by one of his former coaches, Steve Carner.
Get a replay. I really shouldn't be here. The person that ought to be here is Phil Scott. He's with the Lord, so I'm sure he's quite proud of Jason, but Phil went to be with the Lord a few years ago, and the track and field community really isn't the same, because I always tell people, yeah, I know a lot about track and field, but Phil forgot more than I know, probably. So there's a lot to be said about that, and I know Jason well enough to know that he has had just nothing but pure respect and admiration for his dad. I think they're best friends pretty much into his coaching career. Phil would drive down there all the way down to where Jason was coaching last, down at Monterey, North Carolina, and help out. So what I would say, is look at the longevity of what Jason's done. He was a junior high athlete that I read about this tall, and he competed well there, but then in high school, the older he got, the better he got, he kind of distanced himself from all the other competition. In fact, at the state meet when he won, he went 15-2, and we're sitting there, and Phil goes, "Who's up next?" I said, "Nobody. He just won. He's the last one in." So it's just kind of a natural flow for that. And then he goes off to college, and his first year at Cedarville is national champion, for heaven's sakes. How high was that, Jason? 16.5. There you go, 16.8.5. That's pretty high. That's up there. Excuse me a second. I thought this was fitting. After I corresponded with Jason several times, made sure I got all the statistics down and all that good stuff. He sent me a text and he says, honestly, I don't care about those accomplishments near as much. What I really care about is how God used something simple, like a sport, to bring so many people into my life to build relationships with. I don't sit around talking about my wins, and I know this to be true, but more so, we sit around and talk to enjoy the memories that track brought me over the years, especially the ones with you and my dad. Really, the only reason I ever wanted to be a coach myself, as Jason talking again, was because I saw how much you guys, being you and my dad, loved building into the lives of young athletes, and I wanted to do the same. So, Jason.
Kind of got me emotional there. I appreciate that, Coach Connor. All right, so first, like always, we got to thank our Lord. Man, without Him, I'm nothing. Like you just said, like I really don't care much about the accomplishments and stuff. That's just like temporary stuff. It's about the relationships, and track has just been the avenue to get me into coaching and just meeting thousands and thousands of people. I want to thank Dayton Christian for honoring me in this. Really appreciate that and what everything Mr. Stoll has put into this. He was one of my teachers, so it's really cool getting to see him. A couple other things, my coaches, obviously we already talked about that. Coach Carnum and my dad. And then also, I really wouldn't have been the pole vaulter I was without this guy named Bud. I can't even remember, Bud May maybe? Bud Orbs. He took care of the track. He was the guy who cut all the grass and lived down there. And growing up, we didn't have a lot of money, and pole vault poles are about $600 a piece. And as you get better, you need more poles. So Bud made a deal with us. For every pole we bought, he'd buy the next one. So he probably bought me like a good 7-8 poles through my career. And I actually would have jumped higher, but we didn't have enough poles. So, but that's true. State meet, I ran out of poles. And then athletes that I looked up to, like, Dave Dingman's standing right here, Johnny Richardson. I was the little coach's son running around. I remember going to meets where it was snowing, me and Dave were hiding under a high jump mat because he didn't want to go run, and I forced him out as an 11-year-old. But really, guys like that, Greg, looking up to those guys as a little guy, it really set the example. We just mentioned Bobby Cruz, but I remember at the state meet, you got this tall white dude wearing purple, eating Skittles, and he beats this dude named Bobby Cruz who looked like Usain Bolt with sunglasses. And when you look up to someone like that, it really pushed me to become the athlete I became. I want to thank my family for being here, my sister, my brother-in-law and their kids. My wife and 2 boys are here. My son just won a soccer game this morning, so that was awesome. So that was a plus. And then my mom, we lost my dad 5 years ago, and I'm sorry that you lost your grandpa as well. And I learned that Brian lost her sister as well 5 years ago. And actually, I have a quick story about Brian. I remember us taking her to Nike Nationals and everything, but I remember in school, this chick was so strong that if you got in her way on the way to class, it was like a pinball machine. Like the kids are just bouncing off the lockers, like bang, 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 bang. Like it was no joke. You did not get in her way on the way to class. So I said, And then, you know, yeah, I lost my dad, my best friend, and someone that really came in and took that spot was my mom. And so, you know, she really was the one that worked all the years to provide for our family. My dad had a bunch of car accidents, bicycle accidents. He was pretty much crippled in most of his life. And so she stepped up for the family in that. And she was one of my main supporters. Pretty much every video we have of me competing is just me doing something and her screaming the whole time. So you can't really hear anything else. And then she's been a mentor for me. Somehow I got through college. I don't know, I'm not very smart. But if I ever had a question or needed something that actually needed some knowledge, I'd call my mom up. And I feel like after my dad dying or whatever, we've really become great friends that I didn't feel like we had that relationship before, so I really appreciate that. So. Sorry, I'm gonna mention my dad a lot, all right? When it comes to track, anybody knows me, knows that me, my dad, and track are just one package. He was my hero, my dad, my coach, spiritual role model, and definitely my best friend, and my wife's my best friend as well. They were like co-best friends. From 3 years old, all I ever wanted to do was be with him. Like, he was just everything to me. And I basically accomplished that. I did track for 28 years. I've been a track coach for 15 years. I've been following Christ for 28 years. I'm a husband and a father, which is one of my proudest moments. And sadly though, I think my dad was way better in all those areas than I ever was or am. And that's something I'm striving to work on. And I said, this is my last point. It wasn't until a year after my dad died that I woke up in the middle of the night. It was 3 a.m. and I woke my wife up and I just sat up in bed and said, I just realized that for 25 years of my track career, I was doing track for my earthly father. All I wanted was my dad, because he didn't get to go to the Olympics. He was there, tried out twice, 3 times actually, one in Boston. And he never made it, and I wanted to make it for him. So I just put my body through everything possible. And you know, I wanted him to live out his dream through me. And so I didn't really do track for myself that much. I want to say that I did it for the Lord, and I was a believer. I don't feel like I did the greatest job of recognizing the Lord. But in that moment, I don't think my dad would be proud of me. But it was at that moment that I completely changed my focus to glorifying my Heavenly Father in all that I do. That year, after taking 2 years off from pole vaulting, 1, I was just beat down, my body was broken, and 2, my dad died, so I didn't really want to do it anymore. I said, no, I'm going to give it another shot. So I wanted to try one more time at the Olympics. I had no coach, I had no dad, and I definitely wasn't young with a young body anymore. But I found more joy in competing and loving on the athletes around me than any year prior. And I actually had a lot of success, except for the pulling my hamstring at the end of my career at the end of that. But none of that mattered, because at the end of it all, I found true joy. And I think that's what it's all about. So today, I'm just running after Christ. I'm trying to set an example for my family, my kids, like my dad did for us. Like Coach Carm said, that I sent him. Track and sports in general, I think, is just a good way of meeting friends, doing life with people that have the same interests, and it just opens doors to witnessing, which that's what I think we're all called to do as believers. This is what I enjoy more than any of the awards, the records, the championships. And one thing I learned from one of my dad's good friends after he passed, make it short, but he said, the first time he ever met my dad, when my dad left, he said, you know the difference between happiness and joy? And it says, happiness comes and goes. It's like ice cream. It's good for a little bit, but then you want some more related. He said, joy is everlasting. It's of the Lord, and it's eternal. And it says, you know how you spell joy? You got to get in the right order. Jesus, others, yourself. All right. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Jason. That was awesome. Our final athlete to be inducted today from the class of 2013 is Heath Harding. Harding was a 4-year varsity letter winner in football and track. He earned all-state honors in the 100 meters 3 times, once in the 200 meters, and once in the long jump. He was named the Metro Buckeye Conference Track Athlete of the Year in 2013. However, he was probably better known for his football exploits. Harding was a 3-time team captain for the Warriors. He was a 3-time first-team all-conference selection, 2-time Conference Player of the Year, and also received first-team All-Area and Area Player of the Year honors, as well as multiple first-team All-District, All-Region, and All-State honors. In 2012, Harding was named a finalist for the Ohio Mr. Football Award while setting a school record for touchdowns in a season at 40. He amassed 5,121 total yards rushing, 1,172 yards receiving, 1,501 kick return yards, and scored a total of 102 touchdowns, all school records, in his high school career. After high school, Harding went on to star for the Miami University football team. He was named All Mid-American Conference all 4 years and was a 3-time captain while at Miami. His professional football career included the NFL's Atlanta Falcons and the CFL's Calgary Stampeders. Heath will be introduced today by his longtime friend and coach, Doug Porter.
Hello, good afternoon. Earlier today, I was pleased when Steve told me I was going last in the order, but after hearing the stories and experiences and sharing earlier, this is a tough act to follow. You all have done a great job tonight. When Heath called and asked if I would participate in this afternoon's function, I was thrilled and honored and not surprised, because one of the things that I wanted to share with you is just how much I can trust Heath's heart. I mean, he's a wonderful young man that has been a joy to be around for the last, well, it's 29 today, so 20 years, 19 years or so. And his statistics were mentioned just now, and you can read about them. But I want to just share a few things, a few thoughts about why I thought Heath was deserving of this honor, but it didn't really involve statistics. Because our statistics in small school sports, particularly football, they're quite artificial. I mean, you mentioned the 5,000 yards or the 40 touchdowns. It could have all been double that if we had really wanted to do that. Certainly that wasn't the focus of our Dayton Christian mission, and it wasn't Heath's heart either to stat build. I mean, that's not what was happening. This was just what he accomplished just through being a wonderful teammate and allowing his other teammates to do their thing as well. I wanted to talk about Heath, about trust, him trusting the leadership that was placed before him, but also him being trustworthy of those around him. His competitiveness, which is really why he's here today, and how he honored God through maximizing the gifts that God did give him. He was born fast, he was born strong, and he didn't just sit on that. He made the most of it, and through that honored God. I want to talk about that more, in that he honored God by also involving those around him in a way that made them better. I mean, whether it was middle school football, whether it was our first attempt at basketball, he was always the fastest and jump the heights and that sort of thing, but he had to involve everyone else. Everyone else became better because of how Heath was managing himself. You could trust Heath, whether he's at our house for an extended period, or whether he was not found at lunch. You could trust he was at Mrs. Coker's talking to her about whatever was going on the day before, or trust that if we were in practice, he had his teammates' best interest at heart. He wasn't going to just sit back and know he was the best. He was going to expect everyone else to work to be their best, and we could trust him to bring that to the team. He was extremely competitive, not just in the sports that we participated in, but in that 10-year-old Nerf dunking contest in my basement. He was the most competitive kid down there, whether it was playing 21 basketball in the pool during the summer. Very competitive. He hated to lose. Or whether he was running sprints during practice. Of course he was the fastest kid on the team, but he never finished second, ever, even when he wasn't feeling well. He was just so competitive, and that's what translated to success on the field, and I hope it's translating to success in his adult life beyond sports. One of his, of the God-given gifts he has, speed and strength, but also his social skills. He always had a smile, and he was always talking to somebody, and I think that helped his teammates understand that he was approachable and was a teammate, not the team. Those social skills sometimes got him in trouble. I didn't know we were going to share silly stories, but I have an audience of family and girlfriend here, so I got to mention a couple things. And one of them was in a basketball. We had been out, and not the time we got kicked out of Target for running around, but the time that we were at Bob Evans having dinner after a weekend of basketball before going to the lake house, and our young waitress was very friendly and talkative, and our guys were very friendly and talkative. They thought they were very bold, although they weren't nearly as bold as they thought they were. But it turns out she lived 2 houses down from the lake house. It was very embarrassing when they found out that all the stupid, silly things they were saying was going to come back to haunt them when they had to run into her again. I enjoy talking about Heath, not about the statistics, just about the person he is, the chances that he had to leave Dayton Christian to go do his thing somewhere else, but he stuck with his teammates. He was a good teammate then. He didn't run off to this school or that school. He saw things through here. And I think one of the reasons is that, particularly in football, he knew he couldn't do it alone. He had to have his team with him. Just as, we can't get through this earthly day or life without God, he knew he couldn't do it without his team.